Oh, you look so beautiful.
Thanks. I did that in 5 minutes. Oh my goodness. It's been a crazy day, Steph, but I'm so happy to finally be here. And yeah, here we are.
Here we are. It's been several weeks since you were live on our panel here to give everyone an update. For those of that are new in here, can you give us a backstory of the disappearance of your ex-husband, Bradley Stracener?
I can, Steph. You and I had talked about that, how I have so many new followers. You have so many new followers because a lot of really incredible things have been happening for you. And for those of you that know what's going on, you guys just hang tight. But I feel like we have a lot of people to update. So my name is Morgan. I've actually also previously said that I contribute a lot of my following. I feel like that credit is due to Steph. But I don't even remember the date, Steph, when I first went on your very first the first podcast that I did with you and first told the story. So my ex-husband Bradley Stracener has been missing for 5 years. October 30th of this year was the 5-year anniversary of his disappearance. To say that it has been a very long, hard, stressful 5 years, and so many other words come to mind to describe the last 5 years. That's an understatement. But October 30th, 2019 was the very last time anyone on this earth laid eyes on Bradley or heard a word out of him. He had his girlfriend's vehicle. He was supposed to return it. He visited a couple's house whose name is Jason and Danielle. He visited his mother's house or apartment in Country Manor. These are just all places that we can most definitely place him the day of October 30th, 2019. He had told his girlfriend, yeah, I'm going to bring the car back. And he never showed up in that car again. The car was found abandoned less than a mile from Jason and Danielle's house in a trailer park in Sandy Hill, Louisiana, where he had visited multiple times on October 30th. The girlfriend's car that Bradley was driving, was found less than a mile up the road at a dead end. It's kind of a dead end, but the road ends at a gate where you can't go any further through the gate unless you have the code, and it continues on to private property. That private property was searched on foot and by canines a couple of different times. How extensively, I cannot confidently say that, but I do know that that area was searched. So in the beginning, we didn't have a lot of information. So Bradley disappeared in 2019. Fast forward to the summer of 2023, a female came forward. She was arrested on completely unrelated charges. And while she was in jail, she made it known that she had something to get off of her chest. She could not take it any longer. Her conscience was eating her alive, and she had a story to tell. And she told that story. She passed a polygraph test. According to the person who conducted the polygraph test, she passed that polygraph test with flying colors. She did as well as a person can do on a polygraph test. She was faced with charges, threatened with charges. She never once changed her story. Her story, the rundown of that story, was that she found Bradley walking on the side of the road. She picked him up. They decided that they would go and purchase illegal substances at an abandoned house. They arrived to this abandoned house in the middle of the night. Bradley goes in to make this purchase. She stays in the car. She hears 2 pew pew shots. She is then also drugged inside of this abandoned home, where she sees a body under sheets and tarps. Her life is threatened. They tell her that they are going to unalive her as well. They load the body up, which she voiced through telling her story, that she knew it was Bradley because of an arm sticking out from under the sheet and a blue bracelet, which she saw with her own eyes that Bradley was wearing that day. They wrap him in sheets and tarps and load him up into Danielle and Jason's white Ford Explorer, and they drive him to the river bridge at the Texas-Louisiana state line, and they tie him up with ropes and chains and put cinder blocks and weights on those ropes and chains and throw him over what locals call the river bridge on Highway 8. And they bring Austin back to the abandoned house and tell her that they're not going to kill her this night. They're not going to unalive her this night, but tell her that if she ever tells what happens that night, that they will unalive her and her whole entire family. So after she tells her story while incarcerated in Vernon Parish Sheriff's Office's custody, she is then released a couple of weeks later. And less than 2 days after her release, I believe that the promise that they made to her that night was kept. She was found unalive, face down, completely unclothed, in a trailer park in Anacoca, Louisiana. And Vernon Parish Sheriff's Office says that that was an apparent overdose, that it was an unfortunate coincidence, and that Austin O'Banion's story died with her. But it didn't, because I'm here telling it tonight, and I will continue to tell it until we see justice.
Austin O'Bannon's story haunts me. I think about this all the time because a part of me, I don't know, it seems awful funny that right after she told them that, I feel like maybe somebody told the wrong person or the right person, if that's what they were trying to accomplish. And I feel like that she was silenced the only way that they knew that they could silence her. That would fit in with her narrative of her life, where it could just be brushed off.
Well, we all know what a hot shot is. A hot shot is more illegal substances in a syringe than anybody can handle. Even a very long time illegal substance abuser could handle. And that's the story. That's the rumor. That is the one constant that doesn't change, that floats around this community, is that is exactly what happened to Austin O'Banion. We don't have stupid written across our foreheads. The people of this parish, not many of us, if there are any at all, do not believe that her unaliving was self-inflicted or accidental. We know and believe the truth with all of our heart. We know what happened to Austin O'Banion.
Redneck Okie is asking, did they find anything at the bridge? Here's the thing. I'm not even sure they went to the bridge to look. They say they did, but I don't know that the police department ever took it seriously to do a real serious search at the bridge.
So I did confirm that, Steph. I did not confirm that with or through Vernon Parish Sheriff's Office. I asked them that question very directly. They told me what they told me. They did not elaborate on it. But I did reach out to the dive team that they said that they requested the help. I was told by this dive team, and so we've got our parish and one parish in between us. It's Calcasieu Parish Marine Division is what they call it. It was confirmed to me that they did assist Vernon Parish in a search at the bridge. They did not elaborate how far upstream or downstream that they searched, but I was told that they did search.
Okay.
And as paranoid as I am, I have to believe that, because I just don't feel like these people would tell me such an untruth, because I know that they have to document these sort of things. But what I can tell you and everyone else is that it's in the making, and it is going to happen, a bigger and much more extensive search of not only in the water further upstream and further downstream, but all along the banks of a very large area of this bridge, and the river and the banks is going to be done. It's just a matter of time before that takes place. It's in the making right now as we speak.
Awesome. Wow. I'm glad to hear that. And I'm glad to hear that a dive team went to look. Did they tell you about how long after or about when they went to look?
It was my suspected time frame. You know that I had my doubts about what Vernon Parish Sheriff's Office was telling me for very extremely obvious reasons. Austin O'Banion was unalived on July 31st, or at least that's the date on her obituary. It was in the months to come after that. I would say the August-September timeframe of 2023 is when the Calcasieu Parish Marine Division dive team assisted Vernon Parish in that search. I was told that it was kind of a significant. I don't know the exact number, but I feel like it was like 6 or 8 divers searching the area of the bridge. So us locals know that Sabine River is actually really, truly almost comparable to certain parts of the Mississippi River. It's a disgusting river. When it is flooding or when it is really full and high, its current is so strong. It claims the lives of many people per year. And so with the flooding that occurred after Bradley's disappearance, it's actually been pretty disheartening to think that he could have been dumped there, because the flooding there is so extensive. Hundreds of yards out into the woods, into the bank is where anything goes. Once it floods, it goes up and then it goes out. But as you and I know, and some of the followers and some of your watchers know, Stephen Crabtree gave us a lot of hope and said that because of the way that Austin O'Banion says that they disposed of Bradley's body, even 5 years later, Stephen Crabtree gave us a lot of hope that he could very well still be not only found, but found altogether. So I'm clinging to that. I'm definitely clinging to that, and even if that's not the case, the hope that he gave me has definitely been a driving force ever since I've heard that bit of information.
Yeah, he is a really good person and has a lot of experience. And so I'm so glad that he is giving you some hope. Here's my other question. When the dive team went down, they said they found nothing. So no cinder block, no chains, no sheet material, nothing.
Nothing at all. The person that I spoke to, his name is Ryan Marino from that area, from the Lake Charles area. I don't know exactly from where, but I know he's a part of that dive team. Ryan Marino told me that the conditions were so good that day and that the bottom of that river was really hard that they could see things like Copenhagen cans that people had threw off the bridge, even coins, lost fishing lures, and things like that. He said he did believe that if anything was in the area that they searched, that it would have been found. But he also did note that, just as I said, the river, when it floods, is so strong, and its ability to move anything, really, really far, whether it be downstream or out in a flooding, we understand the ability of the river's current and force to do, what it can do.
Right.
And he said, so the fact that we didn't find anything that day doesn't mean that something isn't or wasn't there. He said maybe we just didn't search far enough or in the right place.
Oh man. I think obviously the ultimate goal was to bring Bradley home. But the next thing is to hold those responsible just in case we can't find him. And so I know that is really, really important to you to find the people that was responsible, because he's not the type that would just walk off and never return. Y'all have a son together. That's not nothing that he would do.
No, and he proved that time and time again. Sometimes Bradley would need to just get away for whatever reason, many reasons. He would just go. Sometimes he would camp in the woods, or he would go a few different places in Texas. But someone, all the time, every single time he would leave, heard from him, whether it was me. I did. There were times that I would wake up for work in the morning and I would have text messages, and he would say, I love you, and please tell my son that I love him too. Or, I'm just letting you know that I am okay. Please do not worry about me. And he called his mother, and he called his father, and he called his uncle and his brother. He was in contact with someone constantly. Bradley was a family person. As many troubles as he had, he loved his family, and he was a family man, and he had a lot of support from a lot of people who loved and cared about him. I woke up on multiple occasions to cards and letters stuck in my door, gifts outside for Oliver on Christmas Day, on Oliver's birthday, which is in February. So Bradley went missing in October, the day before Halloween. That was kind of always a big deal for us. It was just something that we loved to do together with our son. Even when we were separated, together we took Oliver trick-or-treating. And I kind of clung to the things that had happened in the past. When he was gone, waking up on Christmas morning and just going to open the curtains to my French doors, and I see a gift outside, and I open the door, and it's from Bradley to Oliver, and a card stuck in the door. So he disappears on Halloween, and Thanksgiving rolls around, and nobody's still heard from him. And even though at that point in time I started saying, I just don't think he's going to turn up this time, I think this time is different, I was still clinging to that hope. So I waited and waited, and I waited for Christmas Day. And I just knew that was my hope, my biggest hope during that time. I was like, I just know I'm going to wake up on Christmas morning, and I'm going to go to my door, and there's going to be a gift from Bradley for our son. or, in a card and a letter. And I did. Oliver's waiting on Santa Claus, and I'm waiting on proof that Bradley is okay. And how the sadness and the discouragement that I felt that day, that first Christmas, after he disappeared, to wake up to no gifts and no cards. But even still, I was like, there's still Oliver's birthday. There's still Oliver's birthday. And so I waited for February. And on Oliver's birthday, nothing. And it just took 1 year, I wasn't going to put myself through that again. I thought about it. I kept it in the back of my mind. But just that first year of waiting for that it was all that my heart could take,
Everybody is saying that their hearts are completely broken for you, and I can see a lot of orange hearts in the chat there. It's somebody had asked this in the comments, and I wrote it down because I thought it was a pretty good question. Do you think Austin O'Bannon, is there a chance you could have had the wrong bridge? Or do you think, because somebody was talking about how far it was from Leesville?
So that is a good point. The spot where Austin said that they brought Bradley to the river bridge is actually, if I just had to guess off the top of my head, it's about 45 minutes from Sandy Hill to that river bridge, to the Texas-Louisiana state line. And they would have to drive through, not necessarily, they could take a route through the woods. There's a couple of different routes that they could have taken that would have avoided main roads. One thing that I remember that I haven't ever said really or revealed, and for no certain reason, but through talking to the sheriff's office about all of this and trying to make sure I covered every single detail and asked all the most important questions, I did ask the sheriff's office, what about the pew-pew that Austin O'Bannon said that they shot Bradley with? And it was questions like that all the time where their jaws would just drop. And they're thinking, to me, looking back, it's like, they were probably like, how does this girl think of all these questions to ask? So, with that question, David Vance told me that Austin O'Bannon said that they threw that pew-pew out somewhere along the side of the road on Highway 8. I don't even know how many miles from Highway 8 off of 171 in Leesville to the river bridge it is. It's a long way. It's not a short distance. It's not a short distance at all. But Austin O'Bannon told them that they threw that pew-pew out on the side of the road on Highway 8 and that they had searched for that pew-pew in many different areas. But at that time, Austin is telling this story 4 years later. They're all under the influence of illegal substances. It's after midnight, in the middle of the night, 4 years after she's telling this. So, there's really no telling. There's no telling.
Janice says in the comments it's about 18 miles.
Yeah, it's a pretty good ways. That's not a short trek.
Let me address this. There's something separate right quick. Saber is looking for Dan. Mary, do you need me to text Dan? Is this a case emergency? I'll do it right now. Dan is from Missing in the USA, and he is really a important part of finding missing people. Text. Okay, give me just a second.
No problem.
Sometimes we have stuff like this happen.
Every other missing persons case is just as important as Bradley's.
Okay. I text him. Hopefully he'll see it. I can see if he reads it here. And I'm sure has he been trying him on the phone? Because he's usually really good at texting back. Oh my goodness. Okay. I'm just trying to, I know. I can't even imagine being you and having to process all of these little parts of tidbits. But then the not knowing all these years to not knowing that he's probably in the area and so close. The pew pew on the side of the road has got me thinking that maybe we should do another sweep. I know it's been 5 years, but even in the rain or some sorts, and somebody noted that there was a million back roads between Highway 8 and the bridge.
So many back roads, so many back roads. Like, look, I live in the National Forest, Kisatchie National Forest. I know every single back road for 50 miles around in every direction. I grew up here, on these back roads. But outside of Kisatchie and in that area is wildlife management. And that's a different entity from the National Forest, but it's just the same exact scenery. Just dirt and rock roads for miles and miles and miles that connect to more dirt and rock roads. And yeah, that person has a good point. Other than like the mountains and I feel like I'm trying to get a point here, but the desert would probably be the worst place. The desert people are found in all the time. Mountains, really hard to find missing people in. And out here, it's the same. There's hundreds of thousands of acres of nothing but woods. We're very isolated out here. I even have neighbors, but very, very few. Very, very few. They're so spread out, That is one of the most troubling parts of this, is that the ground that we would have to cover to not miss a spot. Oh my gosh, the people that it would take, the resources that it would take. So that's one of the biggest road bumps that we face.
It's literally looking for a needle in a haystack.
Literally. And before Austin's story, I actually used to lay in bed because I'm parked in my circle drive right now. I live up really high on a hill. Mm-hmm. And I'm looking out. We live in the front of our property, and I'm looking out over the highway at nothing but woods in front of me. I've laid in my bed for 5 years, but really especially before Austin O'Banion told her story. And I've laid in bed at night and I've prayed for Bradley to give me a sign that would lead me to where he is. And I have thought so many times over the years that, he could literally be somewhere 5 miles away from me, and I would never, ever, ever know it. And there was a point in time, as crazy as it sounds, because I have driven myself completely mad over the past 5 years, over every little detail, like you said. There was a point in time outside of hunting season and outside of our flooding season that I would just take off walking. I would walk down trails near my house, walk down trails in Sandy Hill. Sometimes I'd get off the beaten path and end up in a briar patch. Some of these woods are really thin. The Forestry Service does controlled burns. But there are places that you get in where, as we say, not even a rabbit could run through, But those are just things that I've put myself through and scenarios I've played out in my head.
So let me bring this up because I've seen this person several times in the comments. Figure me out. The first thing that I noticed that she said is that she camps in that area a lot. Let's take a note of that and come back to that in a second. But the other thing she says is people on horseback could search those woods. My husband knows that forest well. Figure me out. Could you make sure you follow Where is Bradley Stracener and send her a message? We really could use an expertise on that forest to see if there's any organized search that we could do when you're there camping again. Keep your eyes open. Ask your husband, is there any specific place that we should be looking? Like, is there a dump area where people like dump the things? You know what I mean? Like this anything. And I'm not saying like, even if you found the pew pew without Bradley, it would be hard to tie it to him, but anything, it could lead to who might be responsible, even if you can't tie. So if it leads you there, then you can start asking more questions in that area. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, you have a place to go now to look if you find a random pew pew in the forest. You know what I mean? So you got to keep your eyes open. You never know.
We find a pew pew on the side of Highway 8, I'm going to turn inside out.
Right. Yeah.
And I noticed she was saying that he did enduros. He used to put on enduros here, and I don't know if he means just like horseback trail rides, but there's actually an enduro trail, I'd say about 10 miles through the woods from my house. Lots of recreational areas out here, you know, but those places are frequented regularly. Like, people are there, I'm there, and they have little trails, but they have other off the beaten path trails and things like that. And that's another terrible thing about this area is, you know what, among many other things, what's Louisiana known for but waterways, creeks, rivers, ponds. You know, there's ponds in these woods that aren't even on the map that I could literally walk to right now. So many places like that. So it's daunting. It's a nightmare.
So our cousin brought up a point that may lead us into what we want to talk about next. But let me bring this up first. Figure me out says, what about abandoned military bunkers?
Abandoned military bunkers, possibly. All of the bunkers. So right within the national forest, we have what people here know as the box. The box is like 100,000 acres of military training area. Outside of training rotations, that area is open to civilians. There are tons of military bunkers. I actually know people who go to them through hurricanes. Not that that's really blessed off by the government, but, you know, it happens. It happens around here. Those are frequented by people. You know, believe it or not, people go in them. If he was in something like that, there's no doubt that he would have been found by now. People just go exploring in places that they don't have any business in because of the area. Like, this area is full of history, and then we've got the military here on top of that. So that would be a very slim possibility that if he was in something like that he would not have been found by now.
Megan is bringing up, did they ever take cadaver dogs out there? At this point, see, I don't know the extent that they would be able to pick up at this point after 5 years. Maybe, I'm not don't know anything about that. But did they ever take any dogs or cadaver dogs in general?
They did. They did. The sheriff's office searched where his girlfriend's car was found abandoned at, a couple of different times with dogs. And the only reason that I know they did that and believe that they did that is because once when they did it, it was aired on a local news channel. And I'm just going to rub a little alcohol on that wound. But to me, that was just, look at us. We're really trying. We're really not trying. But, hey, here we are with these dogs out in the woods running around.
Yeah.
Moving along. But yes, so later, 2021, I believe. 2021, midsummer, hot. I mean, in Louisiana, you can't step outside without breaking a sweat, no matter what you're doing. If you walk out of your front door, you are sweating. These people, CUE, I wish I could remember. Does anybody know, or do you know, Steph, CUE? It's a very large organization. They have a large volunteer organization. Dogs, horses, four-wheelers, they came here. Vernon Parish also got to be a very large part of that. Vernon Parish Sheriff's Office was a big part of that. They got to, take the pictures and go on the news right along with them, when really this was CUE. CUE came in here for an entire weekend, and they put on a 2-day search. These people, the dogs and their handlers, searched areas. I have been told by Bradley's family members, who most of them were there the whole entire time for the whole search, both days, that the sheriff's office dictated where CUE could and could not search. Now, they could have searched, the entire area. They could have started at one point and just searched until they couldn't, and, until the whole 2 days were up. But they were only allowed to go in certain spots. One time, and I just happened to be there this time because I was actually working one of those military rotations. I'm not in the military, but at one point in time I worked for the military. And I was working one of those training rotations. So I would show up to the search when I could, the weekend of that search. And I happened to be sitting there with Bradley's family when we got word that dogs had hit on a spot at an old homestead place. There's a lot of abandoned houses all around this area. So we got word a dog has hit on a spot. And we were just all kind of sitting there praying, holding our breath. We didn't know what was going to happen. The next information that we got about that was that the sheriff's office said that it was an old homestead place and that it must be an old family grave, and that they were not allowed to disturb that area, and that everybody went on about their business. The search continued on. Nothing was really looked into. And that's all we ever heard about that, and nothing else ever came of it. That was that.
They can search without digging up the yard just yet. They could have done some effort here and got work to get permission. They could have done, you've seen, if you've ever watched people that search for stuff in the ground, like old trinkets and stuff, and they have the metal detectors, right? But there's people who have big metal detectors and they push them like a lawnmower. And when it goes over the ground like sonar, it'll tell you if anything's amiss. And they could have done that. That's just a walk around the property.
Yeah, and see, we had all of that kind of equipment. I didn't see that myself, but they had all kinds of equipment. They literally, I forget what it's called, like, but literally they had this whole entire little trailer where you walked into, and the dogs and the dog handlers literally all had trackers on them so that they could keep track of every area that they had searched in. And you could see that inside of this trailer, their little setup, their home base setup, you could see that on screens in there. That's how legit, this organization was. So, but like I said, because of permissions from Vernon Parish Sheriff's Office, they were very limited to what they could do and where they could go.
Do you think at this point, if we found the property owner, that they would say we could just go take a look and walk around? At this point, was it ever followed up after that one time?
No, it wasn't. It wasn't by me. I have heard that someone who was close to Bradley goes back to this end pretty often. I don't know who owns this property or where it's even at. It wouldn't be that hard to find. It's not a very large area.
Can I just
I know most of the people, and I people that I have talked to that own a lot of land in that area has not told me no. They've never once told me no. Even in the trailer park, the McKellers, they just was like, if you ever want to go anywhere in the trailer park and do anything, just let us know first, and you can go and do it. They just wanted to make sure that if anybody called and said, hey, whatever, that they would be like, that's okay, she's permitted to be there, type of situation. Same with the Parkers, who also own a lot of land in that area, who they knew Bradley and they cared a lot about him. In fact, their gate is the one where the car was found parked at, and they even told me one of the brothers was like, we've went and looked for things ourselves, just curious, trying to wonder if Bradley was there, and they did search, how could they have missed something? So we went and just walked around ourselves, So I have quite a few people in that area on my side, and it's not going to take much to find out who owns it. You can literally pull up the tax assessor's map of landowners and find out very easily. And a lot of time there's contact information, on those types of sites as well.
Conva84 in the comments noted that a third person besides the couple that Austin didn't recognize was there.
A third couple that Austin didn't recognize. Now that's going to be hearsay. Unless this person has inside information and knew Austin and has inside information that I do not know, that is nothing that has come from the sheriff's office or her family.
Conva84, can you let us know how would you know, and where did you hear that, and your connection, if anything, if you wouldn't mind?
Because in Austin's story, there were 3 people there, which we know, Jason and Danielle, and the person who we have never said the name of, JS.
Yep. Mm-hmm. And yep. Let me make sure it is. Okay. I'm gonna just keep an eye out and see if they comment again. But the other thing I wanted to bring up from the comments, so you guys are really killing it tonight with the questions and the stuff that we need to be thinking about. So thank you for that. But somebody said, named Jana, said that there is a local psychic there who is the real deal. Have you ever thought about using or ever have went to a psychic for help?
I have not. I think that his mother may have at one point in time. Someone fairly early on in this just relayed some information from me pertaining to what a psychic said. And it was along the lines of that Bradley had bled out. That is how he passed. And surprisingly enough, I will say this, all skepticism aside, this was very long before Austin O'Banion's story. But the information relayed to me was that Bradley bled out, and when he passed, he was at peace. He passed thinking about Oliver.
Oh.
And that he was at peace with everything. And like I said, all skepticism aside, I have just really clung to that thought that he passed at peace thinking about Oliver. That is definitely one more way that I get through everything. As much as it hurts, it's better than thinking that he died in a panic and in sorrow and regret and sadness and fear. So that's what I choose to think about, whether it's true or not.
Right. Maxwell in the comments noted that Conva 84 said that they know the couple and the third person. Conva 84, I'm really interested in speaking with you. If you could send me or Morgan a private message, please. And let's figure that out, okay? Everybody's dropping the orange hearts there. We can feel your hurt. And there's a sense of loss without knowing. There's no closure. But if anything, I do know that he was thinking about his son, because why wouldn't he? And that can be a comfort. And I can't even process somebody having to say those words out of their mouth. This is horrible. This is horrible pain that y'all are going to have to live with for the rest of your life. And you all need answers. There is, let me be so blunt to put it out there to everybody. You should be concerned. If you live in the Leesville area, there is a killer or killers on the loose. As a community and a society, you should be outraged and scared that it might happen to someone else you know and love.
I'm going to be so bold as to say that I don't know if she still does this, but at one point in time, I know for a fact that Danielle was delivering food to people's homes, an accomplice to a murder, bringing food to your doorstep. Okay? Even worse, In Austin O'Banion's story, the actual person who shot Bradley twice, a maintenance man at an apartment complex, going in and out of your home. And if nobody was ever outraged enough, you are to be now. And your sheriff, he knows that. He knows that. And he's okay with that. He sleeps well at night, but you should not.
A couple of things here. I just wanted to note that Shay sent you a unicorn gift. So thank you, Shay, for supporting the mission of Where's Bradley Stracener. Anything that you guys can throw to her or give to her as far as gifts go toward the mission of trying to find her ex-husband. So thank you for that, and thank you for all you guys are doing. Breathe. Woo, there's another thing I wanted to bring up too, because this caught my eye. Let me scroll up because I meant to write down the name and I didn't. And if you're in here again, oh my goodness, Shay just sent you some jellyfishes also, Morgan. Shay, thank you so much for your support. And thank you to everybody who's throwing her heart puffs and roses and anything you can. We got Miss D's, we got Bipolar. It's good to see you in the sub chat today, Butterfly Angel. Thank you so much for being in there. Roxanne, thank you guys. TC, everybody's hitting you up right now. So thank you so much for supporting this cause. I totally lost the name, but so important. Gosh, I wish I could. No, the comment has left me. Welcome to 50. It was really important though. No, it stood out to me. Let me take the time to scroll up because this is, oh, yes, I remember what it was now. They're saying, somebody in here said their husband was unalived, and Vernon Parrish never did solve her husband's unaliving. So if this was you, please comment back into the comments so I can talk to you about that, okay? Courtney says abandoned house ? Yes, let's go into that. Elle calls. I call her Elle calls, but her name is Elle Cousin in here. She brought up another point here about have they found anything in abandoned houses? Now, there are a few updates that we can't talk about. Okay, but we're going to just say that there's a specific questionable image of an area that we would like to check out. So please know that the abandoned areas may be checked out. We are here for answers, and we have some updates that we obviously can't tell you for investigational purposes. But I wanted you guys to know the update that things are happening. Morgan was able to hire professional legal resources, and they came highly recommended by Stephen Crabtree, and they have already initiated a chain of things that I feel like that will lead to answers, and they are very reputable and well respected. And I'm so glad that you were able to find them. But
I just want to make
go ahead.
one very important point and say that was I only hired and retained those resources because of what the people of TikTok in my community did. Those legal resources were retained by donations only. I don't have that money. I just wanted to make that point and express my gratitude about that and how that even happened in the first place, you know?
Yeah. Ooh, Figure Me Out says, I wonder if any suspects, are related to the cops working the case. I don't know that, but I wonder that too. Or are they really good friends? Because I'm wondering how this young lady, Austin O'Bannon, told this story. And why would she? What would be the point of going to tell such a story? It wasn't going to get her out of jail any sooner. No. The only thing it done really is put her in danger. But she felt the need to tell that. She has a big heart. She's got a family. She loved her family. Gosh, I'm just so stuck on her story because I feel like that's what happened. I feel like she's telling the truth.
Like you said, Steph, she had no reason at all except for her heart, her conscience. She had no reason to come forward. She was not facing any large sentence. She literally had no reason. You know, and then to pass a polygraph test. Jason and Danielle also took polygraph tests, and one was inconclusive and the other one failed. Austin O'Banion passed hers. She was then threatened with charges, and she literally said, I figured that, and that's okay. At least now Bradley's family is going to know what happened. And I think about that too all the time. I believe with all of my heart, if Austin O'Banion would not have came forward and told her story, that she would still be with us. She would still be on this earth with us. And that's really hard. Even though I had no control over any of this, it's really hard to sit in this and simmer in it and think about every single thing. I sometimes wish that she would have never told, because I've said it before, you know, and I was able to tell her family that as bad as I ever wanted to know what happened to Bradley, I did not want to know at the expense of another life. And the death of a woman that I didn't even know, the way that it affected me, it's too much. I don't even know how to really put it into words. It's so unfair. And that's really the only way I really have to explain it, is it's unfair.
They're telling me that Conva84 has messaged you.
I did see a message pop up. I can't check it right now. I don't
Right.
know.
I just wanted you to know. They keep telling me over and over and over, so I'm going to let you know. The other thing is the lady in here that said that about her husband's slaughter not being solved by Vernon Parish is Cookie Bear 490. So I did see you guys say that. I'm interested to know a little bit more about that, Cookie Bear. Could you message me your story? Listen, folks, I am not shy when it comes to calling out police departments. I will do a video saying what is wrong with this parish sheriff's department. What is wrong now that we have this other unsolved mystery here? So yes, send me information on that. I'll be glad to put that out there in a hot second. Cookie says they know who it was. I'll message you. Yes, please do. Kristen says, why Austin? It seems like she was just driving along the road and saw him walking and stopped because they knew each other. And that's how they ended up crossing paths, supposedly on the day he went missing. Allison says, Morgan, did you get my message on Messenger with Bradley's mom on the Untold?
Messenger, like FB Messenger, maybe not. Tell her to send a refresher.
You might want to send her a message on here first, or just on here in general, because she might not be realizing to look there. It is not well. Here's the thing, Stacy. Is her story? Is her case solved? No, in my mind, it's not. To the Vernon Sheriff's Department, it is, or whoever. To the authorities, it is, because it was easy for them just to close it up and sweep it under the rug like, oh, another one. To me, it is unsolved. Here's
from above. Janice said, "Tell her Kim Redden's daughter." This is important stuff.
Okay.
Beach walker. From above, Jana said, tell her Kim Redden's daughter. I don't know if Jana's in here, so Kim Redden.
Jana is the one that brought up the local psychic.
Okay.
Are you saying that Kim Redden's daughter is the psychic?
So Kim Redden's daughter is Jana, and Kim Redden was a lady in our community who was an illegal substance abuser, and she also is no longer on this earth with us. She did pass from natural causes, and I did confirm that with Jana. So Jana's saying I am here.
Okay.
And Jana can confirm what I'm saying. You know, Jana and I know what we've talked about and confirmed. There were some connections with Jana's mother and two ladies in Hornbeck that were recently, just a little over a month ago, unalived. But Jana's mother had a long, hard-fought battle with addiction, and she is no longer with us due to natural causes or maybe health issues from her addiction. But you know, this situation goes to show how heavily associated every person in that world, you know, the illegal substance abusing world is. So Jana and I was able to have a conversation and have a heart-to-heart about those sorts of things. There's another, we don't know, you know, this community, that's another thing that's going on here right now, is that in Vernon Parish, the first week or so in October, two elderly women were unalived. A very, very brutal death in Hornbeck. And the sheriff's office has made two posts about these women. And what did they do on those posts? They turned the comments off so that their community could not comment on those posts. Any posts that they make about any missing person now, in the last month or so, since I went viral on TikTok, they turned the comments off. And they post cold case, you know, posts about cold cases, they turn the comments off. And to me, that's very telling. First of all, why are you silencing the people of your community who elected you in the first place? That's my number one question. Number two, some of your most important posts that mean the most to your community, why are you turning the comments off to them? Because why are you afraid of what people are going to say?
Mm-hmm.
That's what that tells me. You are afraid of what people are going to say. This is, social media is about interaction. And you are the sheriff, and we the people put you there in that spot. You are silencing us. Those comment sections are for our statements and questions and concerns. And now you are silencing us. We have things to say that you don't want to hear. You don't care to hear.
Yep. I agree with you.
And
Let's talk a little bit about this timeline here. On November the 28th, 2019, you went to the Shady Oaks Mobile Home Park to see if anybody had seen Bradley. And they told you if you wanted to know what happened to him, they pointed to the trailer he was last seen at and said, go there. But there was a search warrant, and this is the home of Jason and Danielle, put upon the property. They didn't find anything. They lawyered up, and nothing else came of that.
Yes.
Do you feel in your heart that they know something more?
Absolutely. I wish that's something I would have shared with you. Which I know you've seen it. I know you have those screenshots. There's no way that they don't know more. Since that day, really when I set out on Thanksgiving Day and drove up in that trailer park, I was going to drive through. I didn't expect anything. But when I saw those people in that yard, I just couldn't help myself. And I thank God that I did. And they point to Jason and Danielle's trailer. Unbeknownst to me, I didn't know who lived there at the time, but they said, if you want to know what happened to Bradley, and first of all, that's mind-boggling in itself. Why say it that way? If you want to know what happened to Bradley, you need to ask those people that live in that trailer. Okay, who lives in that trailer? Jason and Danielle. And I go and knock on Jason and Danielle's door, and I know they're home. Nobody comes through the door. And days later, I knock again. And days later, I'm on my way to knock again. And they send word to me that I better not come and knock on their door again. They have nothing to say to me, and they are not answering any questions. But why? Because everywhere I go to this day, people want to talk about Bradley Stracener. No matter where I'm at or who is there, they want to talk about Bradley Stracener, but not Jason and Danielle, and not a very, very small handful of other people. One of these individuals, completely aside from Jason and Danielle and JS, I went to high school with, and he also lived in Country Manor Apartments. And I'm 5.5 months pregnant with another man's child, stomping through the woods looking for Bradley, knocking on doors. And I knock on my high school classmate's door, and he won't come and speak to me. He won't come and speak to me. Just that small handful of people. Why don't you want to talk to me? Why don't you want to talk to anybody about Bradley Stracener? That screams, I'm guilty. I know what happened. Blows my mind. But these people, not by me, but these people are left completely unbothered by the sheriff's office.
Tell them about the letter.
So, for those of you that don't know, and that's one thing we need to do in the future, Steph. We've got to get that letter. I've got to get a copy of it, and we're going to have to read it, even as extensive as it is. I've often put it this way, just imagine that this is a movie or a super duper hypothetical situation, like somebody's just telling you a made up story. So let's just say that there is a person who writes a letter, hand writes a letter about all of these characters. There's some business owners, there's a detective included, there's some illegal substance abusers, dealers, and you write a pretty extensive letter, and you name names, and you end this handwritten letter with, I am writing all of this because I am worried. And you date this letter August 29th, 2019. And on October 30th, 2019, you disappear. You vanish into thin air. You're gone. Nobody hears from you or sees you ever again. And then this letter is produced. The letter is found. The letter is exposed. The sheriff's office obtains this letter, but thankfully to God, it's too late. The letter is so broadly shared at this time, publicly. But the sheriff's office is calling this letter crackhead gibberish and tells the people that loved this person that authored this letter and then went missing that it's crackhead gibberish and they can't make no sense of it, and they're not bothering the people in that letter, and they're not wasting their time investigating it.
I'm sorry, I just caught a comment here. Corey Elizabeth, Steph, did you see Bradley's step aunt wants to talk to Morgan?
Who is his step aunt? I'm very cautious about some of the people. Step aunt, as in his stepfather's aunts?
She wrote it in the comments, so she's in here right now?
Alicia Kidder, as in Alicia Rivers? I'm
So
seeing...
there's too many. If they are still in here, just comment Alicia, they're saying.
Okay, so Alicia Rivers, somebody's saying yes. I will speak to her. I will speak to her. I know who she is. Her and I have met once or twice before, way back when. Says that she messaged me. Did she message me on TikTok or Facebook? I have to be very leery of some people just because of past experiences, and that's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah. Excuse me. There's her username is Alicia Kidder 719. So just look for a message from her.
Steph, she should go higher up and don't take no for an answer. That's what we're doing. We're not taking no for an answer. For sure.
Alicia says, thank you, Morgan. I understand your caution, but I just want to talk to you about a lot of things.
All right, Alicia. I'm going to be happy to hear from you, and I'm not promising you that it's going to be tonight, but sometime within the next couple of days, I most definitely will reach back out to you. I promise you. This is all really hard to keep up with.
I've learned how to speed read. I'm like, you know, I try to read every single line. Sometimes they go so fast, like if one person comments, it might be 3 comments at once, so it jumps, and so that you'll miss a lot like that. But I love that so many people are in here. We have almost 600 souls in here listening to Bradley's story right now, and that's amazing. That's 600 people, okay? Eyes, ears.
That we can't say that they should do.
Oh, yeah. The TikToks always making it hard on us, but we make it through it.
Yes. Can you read our lips? No.
Yeah. We have 107,000 likes. Mind blowing. You guys are doing such an amazing job. That's how it gets on the FYP for people to come in here and say, who's Bradley Stracener? And you never know. Maybe one of them will be like, you know what? I remember that night, and I was driving down and I saw somebody throw a pew pew out the window. Hey, Belle, you don't never know. You would think that they would remember that, but you don't never know, you know.
Incredible. So here's something, Steph, that you and I kind of considered talking about, but we decided for now, because of my legal resource team and things that they are onto, that it would be best not to. But I think I've kind of thought of a way to safely share the info. I came across some alarming photos, and in the background it wasn't any kind of substantial evidence, but it was enough to raise my brow. Austin O'Banion, one of the things that she said they tied to the ropes and chains that were wrapped around Bradley's body was a cinder block. And I came across a photo of a person that's heavily associated with people, in this case, in Austin's story. And I wanted to investigate where this picture could have been taken.
Mm-hmm.
So I was able to gain permission to a structure, and I was able to go inside of the structure and examine it. And unfortunately, but this was just one place. I have to keep that in mind, that this was just one place. I examined it. I didn't see in this place what I wanted to see, what I hoped to see. I guess we could put it that way.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing alarming was seen in this structure. And Steph, just FYI, I'm getting a little because I'm seeing a name pop up. Steph, do you record your podcasts? Yes, she does. But the main question is, my question is, we lose these comments once they're gone, right?
Unless somebody's screen recording, we do.
Okay.
So, do I have any volunteers? Well, I don't know if you want to keep up with them from now on, but I wanted to bring this up though. Alicia says that she has sent you her phone number, but here's the other thing she said. I've been silent for way too long.
Mm-hmm.
And I love that. I think it's time for people to stop being silent.
So I'm not going to call her out specifically, but I want to speak very, very, very generally. I want to know all of the things that everyone has to say, but it's like I kind of sort of jokingly said in another video, yeah, I do want to know the information, but what am I going to do with that information? I'm just going to have it. I'm not, and I know I haven't been able to reveal information about my legal resource team, but I'm not someone like them, So I jokingly said in one of my videos, like, oh, okay, such and such said, such and such did this, and here's the proof. And what am I going to do? Go to them and be like, you're under arrest because, I can't do anything. What I want people to know is that I have created a very safe environment. Maybe not created, that's maybe not the right word, but through retaining these legal resources outside of Vernon Parish Sheriff's Office, I have obtained a very safe environment for them to tell their stories in. So as much as I do want to know all of the information, and you can tell me, more importantly, I need whoever has information to tell them. Hold on, guys. Hold on just 1 second. Very quietly, what? I just wanted to scare you. Okay, I love you. I'm not scared. I love you. Bye. My little boy is an insomniac. Steph. He's knocked on my window. He's like, I just want to scare you.
I miss my kid. We were just talking about this earlier about me missing my kids when they were little.
He annoys me because he is Bradley Chase Stracener's carbon copy. God literally said, copy, paste, and I want to karate chop him so bad all the time. But so that's the big deal. Piper, poor Piper. She said that scared me for you. Well, we'll take care of Oliver later together. But that's the most important thing is I think the tragic thing here is we all know by now. It's getting to be the whole world knows that Austin O'Banion did not have a safe place to tell her story. I don't think that she even knew that when she told her story.
Alicia says, I'm just not scared to speak out anymore. I've moved out of Louisiana and I want justice and peace.
Well, I can assure you that my legal resource team would be more than happy to hear what you have to say. I am too, but I just need you to be willing to tell them as well. Yeah. And that goes for anybody at all.
That's right. Let's see somebody put green hearts, so it threw me off for just a second. Orange hearts. You can throw up whatever kind of hearts. There you go. But yeah, orange hearts in the chat there. Thank you guys. Cold Case Psych says, just wanted to pop in here and say that I did a video about your case and I hope it helps to share.
Thank you so much.
Ooh, I'm going to be following you, Cold Case, and I'm going to be watching. I followed you right back. Thank you.
Tell them, send me the video that they shared through messages, and I'll follow them and I will repost their story, their video.
Yes. Awesome. Another thought, Figure Me Out says, since rugs were not involved, were there spots in woods that they would go to do the rugs? Meaning that if it didn't take place in a house, is there a part of the woods that is a popular hangout that it possibly could have happened at? I believe Austin. I don't think she would have brought up the detail of the house. There's too many details. So she's sitting in jail and she's just sitting there and she's like, oh, you know what? I think I'll just go ahead and make up this big old story off the top of my head with all these details for no reason at all. Hey, I got to talk to the police. No. She knew something. She knew it.
And I think you're exactly right about that. That was kind of a good question. There is this place between Country Manor Apartments, which is just right across the highway from Jason and Danielle's place where they used to live in the trailer park where he was last seen. But Country Manor Apartments is across the highway and through the woods, right directly outside of the military base. But there's this, out of the back of Country Manor Apartments is this trail and this road that leads to, this is another, and we've talked about this. We've talked about the search being called off. One search being called off. That leads to property where a search was called off. So Bradley's mother had people lined up and a big search organized. And because the mayor's land butts up to this road and this trail and parts of Country Manor Apartment, there was going to be a search. The mayor, Rick Allen, said yeah. He granted permission, and the sheriff reached out to him and said, you need to call the search off. And the mayor did. And the search never happened. It never took place. And that's not hearsay. That is for fact, and that is widespread news. The entire community knows. And why? They say because of liability. But WTF ever.
No, you can see me shaking my head. No. That's what I'm saying, Amy Beth K9. I'm just going to put that out there because I find it awful funny. Listen, corruption exists in every town, in every city, state, across the world. On every inch of earth exists corruption. It would not be past me. Like I would not discredit someone in the police department being involved at all.
And corruption is just more extensive in some other places. So this is kind of slightly irrelevant. The area that I live in, this is just about the history of where I live. It's kind of like an elbow-shaped area, very large area, and I think it even might go into Texas. Back in the pioneer days, and we're literally talking about mid to late 1800s and early 1900s, this area was called No Man's Land. And it was called No Man's Land for a reason, because all of the outlaws were sent here. There was literally no law here. They were just sent here to fend for themselves. You made your own way, and if somebody was trying to break in and steal all of your food and your cattle and kill your family, you had to fight for yourself. And I really hate to say it, but I think to this day I still think it's no man's land. The area that I live in is still no man's land. Because that's what this place is made of, is outlaws. Because it's permitted. It is allowed.
Yeah. Nicole and Stracener says that river runs fast and high at times. Things get swept away fast. I don't doubt that for a hot second. Look at the flooding and all the devastation in North Carolina. A river literally remapped the earth and took an entire town out. The power of water, it's totally possible that if they threw the things in the river, that they would not be there. They would be further up or down. But here's my thought for food. Food for thought. I said it totally backwards. Hello, it's almost midnight. Give me a break here. Do you think they would have just thrown the pew-pew in the water too?
I don't know, Steph. It's a good question. It's one of millions of the questions.
Jen Penn says Western North Carolina here. So many people. I know. So many people are still displaced over there. That is just, but to look at the devastation still. I saw a video today and I'm like, I just can't even believe. I mean, it still looks like a dagnab war happened there. And that's the power of the movement of water. I mean, you guys know. And that's, and I've heard, I mean, I don't know the area, but I've heard a lot of people end up in that river. I think the bridge would do good to put up some cameras. Amy Best says people are still living in tents in Western North Carolina. I don't doubt it whatsoever. Conva says people magnet fish and find pew-pews all the time. They don't float away like a body would. That's true, but if you're looking at the power, see, I'm not familiar with the river, but I heard it can be very mean at times, depending on, the situation, the weather and such. And so really the flow could really pick up and move anything. It's still in there, probably somewhere, but just probably not in the place that they exactly threw it. Megan says those cameras might bring light to much more stuff that they don't want known. True. We're sitting here thinking, well, why don't they do that? Well, why would they? And in some cases, they don't want their self caught. Here's the other question: are there any? Let's. Can you map out all of the ways that they could have driven to the bridge from Highway 8? I believe it was, and look along the paths and see, did they? I don't know if you could get any kind of footage 5 years later, but there's houses along the way. Somebody's got cameras that taped that day, that evening. Did they not go look around the area and say, did you see anything suspicious? Did you see the type of car that Jason and Danielle drive come by here during this time and between this time and time? I feel like there were other ways that they could have verified her story. I feel like they just didn't.
Yeah, I agree. It's almost like, and it hurts. It's awful to even say. Like, it's awful to even just get the words out. But I even said in one of my videos that it's like when they let her out of jail, they damn well, they knew what was going to happen. And when it did, they were just like, phew, thank goodness. Like, we don't have to worry with that anymore. Because I can sit here right now, Steph, and tell you and all of these people confidently that if I, for the last 5 years and to this very night, had not screamed Bradley's names from the rooftop, that nobody would be talking about him today. It would have been swept under the rug, and, every now and then in passing, oh yeah, that Stracener boy went missing. They never found him. Nothing ever came about it. But I have weekly for 5 years straight. And I can't begin to tell you how exhausting that is. Weekly for 5 years straight. Shared his name, shared his face, said it loudly every chance I got. I haven't let it go. And I've been louder than ever thanks to TikTok for the last month and nearly and a half. But yeah, you're really absolutely right about that. It's not an untrue statement.
Somebody in the comments said, how did you find out Austin's story? And that's because the police told you about this, didn't they? They called you and said, she came to us and spoke to us about this.
Yep. They hadn't reached out to me in quite a while. I had a different number, and the detective, David Vance, reached out to me on FB Messenger and said, call me. So I gave him a call, and he said, I wanted to talk to you about something. I was like, okay, like, I'm free. We can talk about it right now. He's like, no, I want you to come see me in person. So I did that very day. And that's when they told me Austin's story. They told me her whole entire story, as far as I know. They told me everything that day except for her name. They told me all of the names, which I already knew Jason McDaniel and Danielle Gibson's name. The other name, JS, was the very first time I had ever heard his name, and they even told me that. And I really remember leaving the sheriff's office trying to take it all in, because and sitting here tonight, I believe Austin's story with all of my heart. I believe because of Austin, I know exactly what happened to Bradley and who did it. But I remember leaving the sheriff's office that day and saying, this could be it. Like, I could finally know what happened to Bradley. But I also remember feeling very, very, very confused as to why they would do that. Why would they call me
Exactly.
to a personal meeting, a one-on-one, me and David Vance behind a closed door in his office, and tell me that story while this individual, who at the time I did not know was Austin O'Banion, was still in their custody? And I left and I thought, God, I was really kind of scared.
Oh, she must have hit her phone. There you are.
I was really kind of scared. I was like, this is weird. I remember I think it didn't hit me until I got to the parking lot and sat in my car, and I was like, just taking it all in. And I was like, why would they tell me all that? All that? Why would they tell me that? And I was like, this could be dangerous for me, and this could be dangerous for whoever told them that. And it was a lot to take in. Like, at that point in time, I literally couldn't even cry because it was just such a confusing feeling. I don't even know how to describe it, even to this day. And then later, I had heard, things come out just over time sometimes. So I have a cousin who had a boyfriend in jail at the time. And my cousin was, at the time, unbeknownst to me, because nobody knew what was going on, was receiving phone calls from her boyfriend that was in jail. And her boyfriend was saying to her, I don't know what's going on, but something's going on with Austin O'Banion. They're bringing her in and out and in and out and in and out and in and out. They'll come get her from the cell and they bring her and she's gone for a while and then they bring her back. And the boyfriend of my cousin was like, for days in a row, this is taking place. So he's not the only person in jail that's seeing this. Every person in that whole entire jail knew something was going on with Austin O'Banion. They did nothing to try to protect her inside or outside of jail.
I agree. She was found unclothed, face down. And she was a person, and she had a soul, and she had a family. And so finding out what happened to her, I know, is important to you as well. All small answers lead to bigger answers. I've always said that. Smaller answers lead to bigger answers. And so it could be the most minute detail. If you were in the area on October the 30th, 2019, think about where you were. If you live in the area, did you see anything that stood out to you? Did you see suspicious people? Maybe you were camping out where Figure It Out says that they like to camp. Maybe you were in that area. Alicia says, everything in the dark, the Lord will bring the light. Amen. All I know is that this is a mystery that needs to be solved. You should be concerned as a citizen who lives in that area. They are still out there. And whoever done this don't seem to be afraid to do it again.
I told the sheriff that too, Steph. I told him that probably about 2 years into Bradley's disappearance, I sat across from him, looking him in his eyes, across from his desk, and I said, if you didn't care about Bradley, I get that. He caused some trouble here and there. I get it. You didn't care about Bradley. But what you do need to care about is potentially there is a murderer walking free in your parish, and they believe that they've gotten away with it. And as long as they do believe that they got away with it, they'll do it again if they feel like they need to. And I haven't gotten the chance since Austin O'Banion died to look him in his eyes and tell him, you let it happen again. You let it happen again.
Stephen Crabtree's in the house, everybody. Stephen, thank you so much for being here for her and helping her and talking to her. He's sending you galaxies love. Thank you so much. Your expertise and your know-all is so important. And we're going to depend on you to help get us through this. Wow, I'm so glad. He says, y'all my peeps. I figured I was hoping you would stop by. She has spoken so greatly of you, and we all just love you around here. Stephen Crabtree, for those who don't know, is such a great guy. He goes on the river and he helps search for missing people. He has a very, very extensive know-how of searching on rivers, and he's giving and talked to Morgan and giving her great information and great support. It seems like no matter what we're going through, Stephen Crabtree's always here for us. And that includes me. So, I mean, it could be just, if there's anything random I want to complain about or talk about, I know that Stephen's going to be there. So a good guy all around. Follow him if you haven't. Thank you so much for all that you've done, kind sir. So everybody keeps saying this because one person brought it up. So I'm going to address this only because a lot of people are saying this because we can't talk about it. We can't tell you who JS is right now. It's a very probably important part of this story. So we can't tell you that name right now, but it's a person. I've seen like 3 or 4 or 5 people say, who's JS? Who's JS? So just know that JS is an important figure and they are being looked at. Yes.
What I can tell you is that JS is possibly a maintenance man at an apartment complex within Vernon Parish. So if you live in an apartment complex in Vernon Parish, you could have a murderer coming in and out of your home, and the sheriff's office knows that. That's what I want you all to know, even though we cannot say his name. That is a fact.
There you go. I'm just making notes here. Oh, man. Well, you guys, it's been a very informative past few hours. Please know that every person in here, every single soul is important. I've seen this comment, so I'll go ahead and bring this up because I've seen this 1,000 times too. They want to know if you've been to the state.
We can do it. I'm trying to type. We can do it. Okay. So I contacted them. Yes, contacted them. Reached out to them on an online type of deal where you submit information. I didn't think I would ever hear anything back. But I did. I received a phone call. So the phone call that I received was, we cannot do anything unless your district attorney requests help. So what did I do? I went to the district attorney, Terry Lambright. Terry Lambright told me that the only person who can request help is the sheriff himself, if he sees fit, and that help on a federal level could not be requested unless there was obvious signs of criminal activity on behalf of the sheriff's office.
Almost impossible to prove, but thanks.
That's what I was told. And I told him that was not what the state police told me, and he danced around a response to that statement and told me that he would call the sheriff and have a conversation with him, and then he would call me back And like I said in the video, the follow-up video of that, I was like, hey, the district attorney is a man of his word. He did just what he said he was going to do. He called the sheriff, and then he called me back. But I told him, in that 2-hour long meeting with him, that they were going to tell him exactly what they had told me for the last 5 years, which was nothing but a line of bullshit. We are investigating, and we are, blah, 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 blah. And he said that, he said, they told me that they have investigated various leads, and they have questioned various people, and they have searched various places. And I was like, if you use the word various one more time, that's what I wanted to say, but I didn't. But it was getting a little wore out. I was getting a little tired of it. You sound like a broken record now too, Mr. Terry Lambright, but thanks for nothing. Thanks for nothing. And this isn't the last you'll be seeing or hearing of me. I became very upset and emotional during that phone conversation. I asked him very, very direct questions. He tried not to answer them. I said, why did they not search the car? Why did they not do forensics on the car? Why will they not investigate the letter? And he was all but answering those questions. I can promise you that. All but answering those questions. And I grew increasingly and increasingly more upset and furious, and I interrupted him in the middle of him yapping. And I said, why? And he cleared his voice and he was like, go ahead. Why did they not investigate the letter? Why did they not do forensics on the car? Did you ask them those questions? Why do they refuse to investigate the letter? Why do they call it crackhead gibberish? And he just kind of took a deep breath and he said, Morgan, I know this isn't what you want to hear, but this is where we are at, and I cannot tell them how to do their job. And I don't, he had nothing else. He had nothing else for me. That's why communication with them has stopped, because I ask questions too tough for them to answer.
Sorry, just writing down a note here.
Great question, Alicia. Alicia said, why didn't they investigate the pictures on the SD card? Alicia, I know a little bit about the SD card, but I don't know a lot about the SD card, and Steph doesn't know anything about the SD card.
I literally had just wrote down that comment because I had not heard about that one, and that sounds interesting to me. So I wrote that down to visit that later. Interesting. I'm hoping that
maybe Alicia can elaborate on what was on the SD card. I've heard that it was a picture of Bradley that was extremely disoriented. He didn't look right, and there were, of course, a lot of other really crazy things on there. Maybe Alicia can just tell the people what they think. So somebody said you should get the info. We all can write the DA. So the District Attorney's Office of Vernon Parish, Louisiana, Terry Lambright, Google it. You'll find the info. Blow their phones up, blow their email up, blow their mailbox up. Abso-freaking-lutely, please do that. Wonderful idea.
Exactly. That's a perfect idea. I actually saw that one too, and made a note to bring that up. I think that getting it out here in the media and keeping it out here in the media and keeping media fire under it is what we need to do right now. Alicia, I'm hoping that you're going to reach out to her. Obviously, I know you will, and give her as many details as you can. Greta says, Steph, can you make a post with the contact information? Sure. What a good idea. And you know what else I'm going to do now that I think of it? I'm going to make a video, and then I'm only going to advertise it in the parish. So that Every person that has the ticker talker in that area will see it because I'm going to pay to make that happen. Okay. Honey, y'all giving me good ideas. Don't get me started.
Yeah, that is one
Honey.
glorious thing about living here.
Oh man, I know you're tired. It's midnight. And so we better get going off of here. Gosh, Pam Jones, I love you. You're awesome. I love you back, Constance. Listen, oh man, we're just getting started. I feel like this is a lifelong, like in 10 years, I'm going to be right here with you, okay? Forever, for as long as it takes. We're going to be down at, if we're down at the nursing home, I'm going to be like, did you call the Varna Parish today? And you're going to be like, yes, I did. And I'm going to be like, call them again, honey. That's what I'm going to be doing. Forever and evermore.
Get our dentures. Grab your dentures. We're going on a little van on a trip.
That's right. I'll come down and push you around. We'll be walking around in our walkers around the woods. Oh my goodness, Morgan. The TikTok loves you. Everybody loves you. Everybody supports you. This is so. Do you know how much love 500 to 600 souls at one time can give you? But not only that, you have reached now, I believe, over 30,000 followers of people that want answers. We all want answers. So I'm going to leave you guys with this. When you say your prayers at night, keep Morgan and her son and Bradley's family in your prayers. They go to sleep every night wondering where their loved one is and wondering what happened to them. And that's not anything I would ever wish on anybody, my worst enemy or anybody. So, and it's not something typical that happens in our everyday lives, right? But it does happen where you have this entire hole. And this is one of the reasons why I do missing people so much, is because I can't imagine, and I pray for you all the time in my heart. Jesus. I pray for your healing and your guidance all the time. So everybody that I tell their story to, I pray because he listens. Okay. I want you to know that I love each and every one of you very much. Thank you for coming in here. If you've not followed Morgan, make sure you follow her. Also, I wanted to bring this up. She wants to bring, is it Bradley's cousin, up to go live with you? And in order to do that, that person needs 1,000 followers. So go to her page, find that video, find the username, or you can go ahead and give it out to them and make sure that they have 1,000 followers so that she can go live with them. Okay.
Yeah, if he would have had 1,000 followers tonight, I would have asked if he could come on, but I don't think he made it. And he's working his butt off in West Texas, so he's probably asleep by now, missing all of this glorious stuff.
Yeah. But eventually, hopefully, we'll get him 1,000 followers. I mean, hey, Belle, there's 460 something people in here right now. That's half the goal right there. If everybody just went and followed her, and you've got the name tagged right in the video you done.
I do. I put his like his TikTok name or whatever in there. I was reaching hard for 200,000 in here. We're at 185. Almost anyway. But what you said, Steph, I do feel those prayers. I absolutely do. And I do feel the love and the support. You know, I'm 40 something days into the TikTok journey that I started, and I've already said it. Like I was like, I'm going to have to reach a day where I come to a realization of what has happened, but I haven't. So I think I'll just never get over what happened for helping me and Bradley's case and Austin O'Banion's case once I turn to TikTok. Because I've said it 1,000 times that more has happened in the past month than it has in 5 years, and I mean that. And it's thanks to you. It's thanks to TikTok. It's thanks to social media. And I don't even know how do you express more than just thank you. Like, it's just I wish people could feel my heart, because it's been a losing battle. And right now, where I'm sitting tonight, it really just doesn't, I'm still scared and I'm still sad, but it doesn't feel like a losing battle anymore. I don't feel so defeated anymore. So thank you. Thank you for those prayers, and thank you for the support, and thank you for the follows and the likes and the donations and the reposts. Thanks for everything.
They are trying really hard to get. We are almost there. Oh, we're there. We're there. Oh my gosh, we did it.
We did it. We did it.
200 and oh my gosh. I have to do the times. Thank you guys so much. You guys make it possible.
Somebody posted Bradley's cousin's screen name. So it's Scooter 0288 SCOOTER 0288. Everybody go like his page, follow his page, and like I said, I might have to, we're gonna twist his arm a little bit, but he's not gonna have a choice. Maybe we'll do that tomorrow night or one day this coming week. So
sounds like a plan. Morgan, I hope you get some rest, kiddo. I have to say that because I feel like you're one of my kiddies now. You're just so precious. You have a beautiful soul, and just very genuine, very, very loving. And I think that's part of the reason people are drawn to you and to Bradley's stories, because it's so real. And the love. Listen, my dad was the holler hoodlum. He was an alcoholic, and he had his own demons. And my mom, she passed from early onset dementia in 2022 at 66 years old. And even up until then, she would tell me how much she loved my dad. She just couldn't live with him. And so I know that your love for Bradley then, now, and forever will be true. And that's something to admire. So thank you.
It absolutely always will be.
All right, folks. Thank you guys. We hit 206,000 likes. Thank you guys so much for joining us tonight. Remember to make sure you follow Where is Bradley Stracener. Follow this account, and everything she posts, repost it, comment, share it, whatever you can do to help get her account grown. Okay. Sunshine Queen, you just sent 5 subscriptions. Holy cow. That's amazing. If you are 5 souls that happen to be in here, Remu is one of them. JAL67 is one of them. You have received, Becca Hyde is one of them, a free subscription from the Sunshine Queen. So thank you, Sunshine Queen, for making everything happen. You make it happen. I think you've give like 25 subscriptions this week. You are amazing. Folks, I am live every day from Monday through Friday from 10:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time until noon. And I'm live every Saturday night from 10 p.m. until midnight. Next Saturday night, you can join us for the reading of Run Like Hell, which is the Wolf of Wall Street's ex-wife who wrote a book after escaping that whole situation. It's a whole thing. We'll talk about it, okay? Please have a blessed and safe night. Please have a great weekend. And Morgan, you can call or text me anytime. I don't care if it's 2 a.m., honey. If I hear it, I will answer it. Call me. You know I'm here for you. You're welcome on the panel anytime. And you keep me updated, and I'll keep them updated. And y'all go there so she can keep you updated, and we're all going to make it happen, okay?
Yes, Miss Steph. Thank you so much. Thanks from the bottom of my heart. One day, I'm not even a hugger, but I keep saying one day I'm going to hug you. I know I am.
We're virtual hugging right now.
I'm accepting it.
Thank you, Amy Beth K9, for subscribing just now. Thank you so much. Please remember that you all can follow me on any social media platform. All you have to do is look for the same username and logo. I am on the Big YT, which is YouTube, X, and Bookface, and Instagram, and an app called Scoots with a Z. That's a new one. So make sure you follow me on all of those, because I am also going to post this as a podcast audio on my podcast. It's Death Case Files Presents Truth Be Told, a true crime podcast. And you can find that wherever major podcasts are heard. iHeartRadio, Spotify, I'm there. So wherever you are, there I am too. Have a blessed weekend, everybody. Good night. Bye, Morgan.